Good morning, friends and family. Sonia G here, and I'm going to be doing a little bit of an experiment. I live in high desert, which is extremely dry, and high altitude, which totally affects paints. So most of the recipes I have to play around with to see if I can get them to not craze. So I'm trying to do the bloom technique more so because I enjoy swiping. And I've had a lot of crazing problems. So we're going to give it a try today. We're going to use Glidden. And I've written down the number in my notes, which I'll include. It's the GLU 6213 N as in Nancy Satin Ultra Deep Base 3. And I'm going to add GAC 800 to that. Let's see if that works that way for you. GAC 800, which is supposed to reduce crazing. And we'll see how that goes. So first up, I track my health, and these are not inexpensive. So I've taken the tops of a pair of gloves, cut them off, and cover up my trackers. Get real tired, and it's embarrassing to have paint on you. Whoops, nope, that's on the glove. See what I mean? It's done. No biggie. And I thought I had two of those. There it is. And that's the Apple Watch. This is the Fitbit. It's the Luxe version. I really like it. And I compete with my family on this one and my friends on this with this one. So I wear both. Also, and this is why fluid art appeals to me. I love sciences, so I'm doing my own little study to see how these compare. Not relying on one, but with two, I can get a general idea. All right, so that's that. And I'm doing this mostly for myself so that I have a record of what I'm doing when I create a painting or how I got there. I have so many paintings I really love that I have no idea how I got to where I got. Anyway, so I'm going to start off with the Glidden. Here's a little trick that I use. These get pretty sticky. So I use either this or a small knife, but this will work on this one. So you literally get under there and see if you can see that. Yes, you can. Just give it a lift and that unseals whatever is keeping it stuck. Kind of a neat little tip. Now I want to see how thick this is. So these wonderful little shovels came with some, I think it came with these blingets. I'm not sure. I might have gotten some with those and also with some others. But I'm just stirring this up. I thought I shook this. I might just go back and do that. And the reason I can, I'm going to do that. The reason I can is I'm not going to use these paints until tomorrow anyway. So I'm going to give that a good shake. I thought I had. Here we go. Most of these products will separate with few exceptions, but yes, that does create bubbles, but I have a trick for that too. We'll get to that. Okay, let's see if that looks a little better. And what's that? A bubble? I love doing this. You should have one of these pokey sticks thing. I don't really care about that right now. What I'm looking for is the viscosity. How thick is this? And I do think that wooden sticks are the best tool. So that's pretty thick. And you know what else I'm gonna do? Yeah, that is a goober for sure. So we'll just wipe that off. We're gonna strain this. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, you can. Over here I keep what I call my magic water. I have eczema, so try to keep it damp clean. I can't use detergents. I have to be really careful. I'm gonna move that out of the way. Bring that over closer. Oopsie daisy. There we go. So I am going to strain this into a cup. I should have a cup here. There we go. There we go. Always have a little strainer on hand. I like these because they hook onto the cup. And if it's a smaller device, I use a funnel. There we go. That looks a whole lot better. Oh, by the way, I'll introduce you to my friend playing with his ball and tiptoeing. That's Jax. And his toenail appointment is this week. And I hope you enjoy the happy sounds of a dog. He's a contented little guy. He's 14, but he thinks he's a puppy. And I'm just all for that. He also is not well, although he doesn't know that. So he's been diagnosed with cancer. We had surgery and they think they got most of it. But one of the reasons I can't jump into some of the recipes for blooming is their toxicity level. And I'm using this Glidden because it's literally 0 VOC. There's hardly any odor whatsoever. All right. So I shouldn't have any bits in that. Now, this has to be washed out immediately. Probably should have added more water, huh? Can do that right now. I'm using distilled water, by the way. Now this cleaning solution, actually it's its own recipe, but it has essential oils in it. I actually add some lemon oil, which helps. See how yucky that was? I get my green scrubby pad from my big bucket of water over here. And I just want a small one. When I'm pouring, I have a large bucket on my other table that I use because everything gets washed immediately. If you really want to save yourself a lot of aggravation and maybe even waste, just wash things immediately. That way, when you're done painting at the end of the day, I'm thinking back to my beginning, you don't have a horrendous mess that you might be too tired to deal with. So, anyway, keep whatever detergent you use. I spend so much time washing. When I'm washing all my utensils at the end of the day, I don't wear gloves. It's too cumbersome and the water gets in it anyway. So this solution really helps. I'm going to double strain that. Based on my experiments so far, this is too thick. Oops, yeah, that doesn't work. And that's why I use a strainer or a funnel. If messes really bother you, you might want to consider drawing or another hobby. I think we're pretty safe. I'm going to add some gap to that. wipe the sides off. One of the things I've learned is try to keep your sides clean because it just gets all chunky. So anyway, I recently purchased a fantastic furniture grouping from IKEA that my dear son-in-law spent 9 hours assembling. But at the end of the day, I have all of my things in containers. I just pop them in my drawer, and this looks like I've never been here. So, and under $500, I did buy an additional unit for $189. So let's say $500, $600, $700 tops. And I have 2 bookcases, 4 cabinets, and 6 drawers, and lots of countertop. Highly recommend that. I'm pretty sure I saw it online last year for almost over $1,000. So, heck of a deal. Okay, we have another little offender here. One of the downsides of upgrading was I did not get to paint for a while. I'm just moving my chair here so I can get my small knife. Just banged my head on the, just use that knife. Where'd I put it? Yeah, of course. I don't know if you can notice if it is exposed, but my table is covered with this pretty heavy plastic. But I had to leave the paper attached to it because I live in an almost zero humidity environment. If I take the paper off that plastic sheeting, which is a sturdy plastic sheeting, every piece of dog hair or lint or what have you in the air would just stick to it. I've been there, done that. It doesn't work. So anyway, and I've also sealed it, cut it down the middle so I can open it up, put an additional flap over it, so I can literally dry paints or a glossy coat on a painting in an environment that is dust-free. So it's a twofer, one of my little ideas. All right, here's my GAC, and I'm going to be using this over and over again, and it's just too thick. So where's my handy dandy? There's that. So this was 7 ounces. I think it's a third empty, not almost a half. Let's see if it was a half, so it's 3.5 ounces. We'll call it 4 ounces. So I'm going to add at least an ounce to this. I'm going to zero that out and go to ounces. Come on. Fluid ounces. And tablespoon, here you go. Aren't these cute? I love these. Anyways, this a heap of love, 1 tablespoon. And I tend to use the teaspoon more often than not, so it's just the better size. It's called a spoonful of incorrectly spelled. Oh, there it is. A spoonful of affection. And by the way, I'm getting new glasses this week because mine aren't working that well anymore. Aging's so much fun. So 1 teaspoon was 3 fluid ounces, or 0.3, 2, 0.6. So a teaspoon is approximately 3 ounces. Up to 9. 12. I think we're going to stop right there. Wash it off. Have a dry cloth nearby. Actually, I keep a wet and a dry. This one's damp. And my dry. Yeah, you gotta watch these painter's cloths. They can shed orange. So I wash them before I use them. Let's stir that up and see what we have. It's still quite thick. Hopefully it'll stop the crazing. I understand the concept that the pillow paint needs to be, sorry about that, the pillow paint needs to be heavy in order to stretch the cells. But in my climate, it's not working. And I've tried them all. I've tried Color Place, Glidden, Bear, yada, yada, yada. I want Glidden to succeed because it's the least toxic. So now I'm going to add some Liquitex. It's good to have a little trashy thing right there. Okay. I don't want to add water. Put my cover back on. And let me get some more paper towels here. Here we go. Okay, so I want to show you a couple of examples. This is the crazing that I'm getting. I mean, it's a beautiful painting, and the crazing is perfect. I mean, it outlines every cell. However, it's not what I want. I love that painting, by the way. And this one crazed and cracked, but again, it cooperated with the cells. But you can see the cracking, especially here. That's cracking. And that's because that dried more quickly. So I have another little trick I'm going to try. This is an experiment. It might fail. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. Okay, so we've added GAC, which is supposed to reduce crazing. It didn't seem to affect the viscosity that much. Still pretty much the same thickness. Now, this is a satin base, so it's not enamel. Enamel is the worst for me. If there's any enamel, it's gonna crack. I'm gonna add something to thin that. Oops, wrong cover, duh. But something that won't take away. I might just add a binder. What have I got? I've got a bunch of stuff. Rust-Oleum, JoSonia. Rust-Oleum's pretty thick. JoSonia's thinner. By the way, if you're playing with varnishes and XXX polyurethanes and so on and so forth, you want to make sure you don't let that dry onto anything. It will not come off. It's nearly impossible to come off. Unless it's on a plastic, then it will peel. So, JoSonia or Liquitex. I'm going to try JoSonia, and I'm going to add a teaspoon. make a note here. So 2/3 jar, the Glidden. Teaspoons times now 12.3, so no, it was 4 teaspoons. That's why you have to write things down. So this is the part that I enjoy, the scientific part. But if I'm down the road too far, I'll forget to write it down. So now, if you're new to fluid art, which, like, you really, if you can, record it. Otherwise, make notes. But keep a record so you can recreate something that you fell in love with. Okay, let's see if we've got any thinner here. Didn't seem. I'm going to test this on a small square. Yeah, that's running a little bit more smoothly. See that? Okay. Now we're going to spin this out. So I think that's going to be okay. We'll find out.